Peeps, what is up? It is your butt sprung-out gamer here, and today I'm going to be doing my review and my honest opinions of the UFC 5 beta. I'm going to be as blunt and as honest as I possibly can, and I want to address this um, to EA themselves. It probably won't be, but I'll be trying to get back anyway after the beta's done. So at the time of this recording, on the 21st, I believe, of September, the beta is still live. It is a closed beta, so I believe you had to get your code. So I thank EA for actually sending that and giving me the chance to play. What can I say about the game? Well, for starters, menu wise, I like it a bit more than UFC 4. UFC 4 felt very arcadey. This feels a lot more like a big spectacle in the sense of more groundbreaking. Um, More like like you feel the fight is like as real what UFC 5's tagline is suggesting, and that's how it feels with the menu. It's very colorful and bright and very poppy and showmany. It's got a red color palette and it's quite a nice screen. Now you only get two modes, which is fight of the week, and in that you get to choose stuff with middleweight fighters, which is the only selection of fighters you actually get in the game. But with that, you get to make bets on a fighter of the week, whether you want to make place a bet on upcoming fights. It's not real bets, but you can choose your pick of who you think will win, which is interesting. It means that'll be the way to access events, upcoming events, and who's fighting possibly. As well as that, you actually get to choose the fights and play a simulation of the fight of the week. They're quite interesting. I do like that, but the only thing I wish there was a way you could choose both fighters, that it wasn't allocated to one, because as I was playing, I tried choosing the other fighter. You can't pick both sides, it's only allocated to one, which I think needs to be changed. They should actually change the case of choosing a different fighter, like whatever fighter you want in the fighter's pick, fight of the week. The beta isn't actually shit. Like, it's not as bad as I thought it would. EA obviously didn't have good people playing the game. They just kind of rounded up random people. But if you watch Martial Mind's gameplay, shout out to Martial Mind, you'll actually see how the game plays, and that's a lot more smooth than I would have initially thought. So with Fight of the Week, interesting, but I would say the picks need to be different. I haven't delved too much into that. Although you do get like your choice of being able to see the fighter moves. In terms of like striking, I feel the head movement is a lot more responsive. The side steps, the sways, they're all a bit more responsive. You do have a faster teep. Feels a lot more powerful. The question mark kick is really nice. Oblique kicks are quite interesting. They're really good, and the knees really go far. It's like some UFC 2 shit. It's very good. Um, I do like the fact of viewing the moves, but I wish it was that way online because I believe with UFC 4 you could view moves online still. To get to online, you get your choice of middleweight fighters. So you get Strickland, you get Adesanya, you get Costa, you get a couple of different fighters. Um, they all kind of play similar to what they played, but just advanced a bit more in terms of their style. They have a new shovel hook, which is kind of like a sway. It's very boxing style, I believe. And it's a new thing incorporated into the game, which I think is nice. The only thing is you can't view the moves, which I don't like. But also in terms of graphics, the graphics are amazing. Um, there, I think there might be. I might have to check. I tried it, but it doesn't seem as prominent. You can actually like move back. Um, so it's a lot better in terms of that. You can kind of like, there's not as much kind of like forward pressure. You're able to space out, which is good. Um, but like gauging the controls is very different. They've changed up the control scheme. It feels a lot better, I think, actually, compared to UFC 4. The uppercuts are now on the right hand side with the R1 button, and then you just press the square and the triangle. It is hard to get used to at the start, but it is very responsive. Same with the spinning attacks. I like how they changed them. I think it's very, very realistic. Also, the injuries as well. The injuries have become a significant part. So, if you get hit in the head, you can get blinded in your eye, doctor stoppages can happen. Leg health is kind of different, but it's similar. You will limp a bit more. Your gas tank can be implemented. So they have changed a couple of things in that sense. Graphically, way better than UFC 4. We already kind of knew that. UFC 4 was similar to UFC 3, but I think it looked gloves was the only thing that was updated. Apart from that, it kind of looked a little bit worse. Ground and pound with this game as well. The ground and pound seems more responsive. However, I will say in a minute what I believe they should do with the ground and pound. But I like the seamless transitions. With this game, you don't have any mini games to do with submissions, arm bars, chokes. It's all seamless. It's all built into the ground game. That's probably the best thing about this. It's addicted. Like it's really, really faceted, multifaceted. In the sense of how you block. Although they should possibly fix how fast you're able to defend, because you can get out of submissions quite easily. It's fun, man. It's really fluid. It's really like top notch submission game in the ground, like on the ground. Sorry. The submissions are seamless, and that's how it should be. And I'm happy that they took that step forward in terms of striking. I actually want to give my opinion on what I believe they could do. So EA, if you're ever listening, if you ever hear this just before you release the game, please bring back the UFC 3 denying of the clinch, where you're able to push up the hands. It feels like it's going to be more clinch spam again, where people are going to be able to get in. There is no proper way that I've seen to defend a clinch. If someone gets you into clinch, there's, I mean, they say a straight punch and everything like that, but bring back the, you know, getting out of the way, the hands up, and getting out of the clinch. Because, they do that in UFC, and it's what happened in UFC 3. And we need to backtrack in terms of denying clinch. We need to move forward. We need to have, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The clinch being able to deny was so satisfying because there would be so many clinch people trying to grab you, and it's so annoying. It's so good when you're able to deny it, but when you're not and people are constantly on your ass, it's fucking annoying, dude. I don't like that. That was the problem with USC 4. It was really annoying, the fact of people being able to clinch you. I didn't like that. Um, it happened very, very often where people would just grab you, continuously grab you, would constantly do it. John Jones players mostly clinch, then they were back, like you would get out, clinch again, get out, and the only way you could get out is backing up. You can't push up, which should be a case. Another thing I want them to add, okay, is the parries. The parries from UFC 2 needs to make a comeback, and I believe they could actually do it. There is, I believe, a button prompt. If you press R1 and press the striking buttons or some other input, there is availability to actually put it in there from what I've seen. Now, I haven't gauged the full controls, but I believe EA could actually do a parry system like they had in UFC 2 and evolve on that and make it way better, because they've had 3 years to make this game. And a lot of people are saying that EA is money hungry, which from the past they have been. DLCs, loot boxes, all that shit has been their go-to. So a parry system would be nice. A parry system would be good. A parry system would be fun. To actually go off of that and strike, it would change the game, and it would be a much more enjoyable experience. We've never had the realistic version of UFC where we've been able to parry. Never happened. We've had UFC 2. That was unrealistic striking, but it had power to it. But it needs to change. Like, that would just bring a whole lot of different things if we could parry like UFC 2 in this game. The beta, yeah, it's quite fun. It's better than what I thought it was. I wasn't originally going to get the special edition, but I will be now. I'm just hoping that UFC and EA can actually improve on it, and that they can actually make the system a lot better in terms of certain stuff. Uppercuts also should be improved. I noticed that they're a little bit janky in certain areas. They're not the worst, but they should tweak them a little bit. In terms of ground and pound, I don't think the hammer fists are there, which is a bit weird because they did say there would be hammer fist, and that should be the case. With ground and pound, so far, I found a good flow. But with elbows, you kind of go down and you can be grabbed. There should be a 50-50. When you elbow someone on the floor, you should be able to either get back up and then block. Like UFC 3, as far as I know, had a very good system of striking on the floor. It was really good. And I think they should bring certain elements of that back. There's a lot with it. The system has felt a bit more flowy. I've noticed at times there's not too much jank, but it's a fun experience. I think it is much better than what UFC 4 had incorporated with their striking. They do need to fix um, the footing of, you know, how they've placed their feet when they're moving, um, because it's kind of like, you know, it comes off the floor a bit, and that's just not realistic, you know. They've taken, as I said, 3 years to craft the system. Another thing I would like to see is a kind of like switch stance and punch from the backhand. They seem to make the switch stance faster, which I like. You can get strikes off of the switch stance faster, and that's great, man. Head movement is fluid. I like how the head is able to bob and weave past shots. Um, it's felt way more technical than UFC 4. They kind of messed it up, and I don't want them to go back to that again. Um, there is obviously a lot with this game that they need to work on, in a sense, but I will say it's a step up from UFC 4, and that's a good thing. If you can improve on the last game and make it better, then what's not to like? You know, some people mightn't enjoy the control system. They might have thought maybe, possibly, the past game was better, you know, because most of the games like Fight Night and most combat sports games go with the traditional triangle, square, X circle for the two uppercut inputs. With this, it's R1, and you know, from there you can just press square and triangle. So I like the simplification of that. And then the spinning attacks is pressing circle and X, and then you know you can go off of that and do certain spinning attacks, and you can actually do a feint by actually not pressing the attack button. Um, like what Alvarez did against McGregor when he feinted. I like that as well. It feeds into it, the system, and it flows decently from what I've seen. Also, if possible, I don't understand why they're not doing this, but eye pokes should be a thing in the game, and crotch kicks as well. You know, kicking of the crotch should also be a thing. It would make it way more realistic. The system. I'd I'd be interested to see that in an update. That UFC would do something like that. Other than that, the game is fun. If you enjoy UFC 4, I think you'll like this. If you enjoy UFC 2, you might like this, but I feel it's not kind of, it mightn't be your cup of tea, or everyone's cup of tea. If you want that arcadey system, I find it realistic. So you know, it for an avid player, I think personally that you know it mightn't be as fun. And UFC 2 is there, but is it UFC 4.5? Not necessarily. It's different. It is different enough to make it a new game, in my opinion. And as I said, that take it with a pinch of salt. Don't listen to the reviews. Try the game for yourself if you can. If you have the beta, give it a go. Or you know, if they bring out an open beta for people, give it a go. That's what I personally say. But yeah, that's gonna do it for my thoughts on the game. If you did like this video, please leave me a like. If you dislike the video, you can dislike. Comment down below what you thought about this video, whether you liked my thoughts, whether you think I'm crazy and I'm just talking shit. And subscribe if you would like. I'd really appreciate the feedback, the viewers, everything. And that's going to do it for the video. Thanks so much for watching, peeps, and take care.